Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally taking over the country right now. It honestly feels like out of nowhere, absolutely everybody in America is talking about and taking peptides. We're talking blockbuster weight loss shots, underground biohacking forums, those viral skincare routines you keep seeing. These compounds are everywhere. It's a massive cultural boom. So we're going to break down exactly what's going on here using the actual scientific literature. But whenever something explodes in popularity this fast, we've got to ask the big question. Are these genuine miracle cures backed up by hard science? Or are we just looking at the latest, highly unregulated internet health fad? Well, we're going to strip away all the slick marketing, look straight at the data, and find out what the research actually says about these incredibly powerful biological tools. Now, real quick before we jump right into the science, a very strict medical disclaimer. This explainer is strictly for informational and educational purposes, based entirely on published scientific articles. You should absolutely never, ever use any of these compounds without direct supervision and consultation with your licensed doctor, okay? Now look, navigating all this science can get super overwhelming, so I actually put together the complete guide to peptides. It's a comprehensive booklet I'm selling for just $19.90, and it is basically your ultimate cheat sheet for mastering everything we're about to cover. The link to grab that is right down in the description. And hey, while you're down there, definitely hit that subscribe button and like this explainer so we can keep making these deep dives for you. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The great peptide boom. 2. What are peptides exactly? 3. The weight loss revolution. 4. Healing muscle and skin. And finally 5. The wild west of safety. All right, section 1, the great peptide boom. So we are living in this totally unique cultural moment where high-level laboratory science has just blasted its way into mainstream lifestyle. And this boom, it's really being driven by 3 main things. First, you've got those massive headline-grabbing GLP-1 medications for weight loss. Yep, those are peptides. Then you've got the underground biohacker favorites, things like BPC-157 and TB-500, which athletes and fitness enthusiasts are totally obsessed with for recovery. And third, those viral skincare routines pushing topical peptides for anti-aging. It's basically this perfect storm of aesthetics, high performance, and weight management all crashing together at once. Moving on to section 2, what are peptides exactly? So let's demystify the buzzwords here. Simply put, a peptide is just a short chain of amino acids, which are the basic building blocks of proteins. But the absolute easiest way to think about them is as cellular messengers. Imagine a peptide is literally just a highly specific text message sent directly to your cells, acting like a tiny instruction manual. It shows up at the cell door and says, hey, trigger healing response right now, or hey, burn that fat, or we need a ton more collagen over here. Our bodies naturally produce hundreds of these to keep us running, but now synthetic versions are being used to basically mimic and crank up the volume on those natural signals. And honestly, while the hype feels super new, the science itself really isn't. Did you know there are already over 80 approved peptide drugs used all around the world? In fact, the very first major therapeutic peptide was insulin that was introduced way back in 1921, and back then they originally extracted it from dogs and pigs. Today, there are over 170 peptide agents in active clinical development. So we're not starting from scratch here. We're actually building on a solid century of established pharmacological science. All right, section 3, the weight loss revolution. The absolute superstars of this current revolution are medications like semaglutide and tirzepatide. Now, they are both peptides, but they work in slightly different ways. Semaglutide uses a single-action approach. It's what's called a GLP-1 receptor agonist, which basically means it mimics a hormone that makes you feel full and slows down how fast your stomach empties. Tirzepatide, on the other hand, takes a dual-action approach. It targets that same GLP-1 receptor, but it also hits the GIP receptor. And that synergistic combo doesn't just crush your appetite, it heavily modulates your energy metabolism and your insulin sensitivity all at the same time. Now, what's really interesting about these numbers is when we look at the direct clinical comparisons. This is from a 2025 study by Aronin and colleagues, and the results at 72 weeks are just mind-blowing. Tirzepatide's dual-action mechanism gave people an average weight loss of negative 20.2%. Compare that to negative 13.7% for semaglutide. I mean, both of those numbers are absolutely staggering and represent a massive leap forward for chronic obesity management. But it also brilliantly illustrates how just tweaking these peptide structures a little bit can unlock some truly powerful metabolic responses. Which brings us to section 4, healing muscle and skin. If we map out how topical peptides are actually used in clinical dermatology today, you see this huge, diverse spectrum of use cases. I'm talking hyperpigmentation, anti-aging, wound healing, treating deep acne scars, even muscle relaxation, acting almost like a mild topical neurotoxin to reduce expression lines. By sending those instruction manual signals straight to your fibroblast cells, these peptides literally tell your body to ramp up collagen production and remodel the tissue, all without any invasive surgery. And this insane regenerative potential has sparked something that enthusiasts are calling the glow stack. It's essentially a strategic combo of 3 specific peptides meant to work together synergistically. First up, you have GHK copper. That's a copper peptide, super famous for boosting collagen and restoring skin elasticity. Then you've got BPC-157, which is derived from gastric proteins and is heavily researched for repairing tissue and calming gut inflammation. And finally, TB-500, which helps with cell migration and forming new blood vessels. Put them all together, and the claim is that they optimize full body recovery, literally repairing your tissues from the inside out. But here's where things get really fascinating, because these different peptide trends are actually colliding right now. We're seeing this whole new phenomenon called the GLP-1 aftermath. When people lose weight super rapidly on drugs like semaglutide, they lose all that fat volume that was keeping their skin stretched out, so they end up with sagging skin, or what the media loves to call Ozempic face. And how are they fixing it? They're turning straight back to regenerative peptides, like that glow stack we just talked about, to try and restore elasticity, pump up the collagen, and tighten everything back up. It is literally this crazy cycle of using one peptide to manage the physical side effects of another. So the crucial point is, we need to talk about Section 5, the Wild West of safety and regulations. Because, look, while the science here is undeniably exciting, the reality of the open market right now is actually extremely dangerous. Just look at this stark warning from Brazil's health regulator, Anvisa, regarding unregistered injectables. They state clearly that these are, quote, illegal for any health use, inclusive of aesthetics. They offer zero guarantee of safety, origin, or composition, end quote. Guys, when you buy unapproved random peptides on the internet, you simply do not know what you are injecting into your body. And the regulatory reality here is pretty severe. A lot of those popular biohacking peptides, like BPC-157 and TB-500, they are strictly designated for research purposes. They are completely unapproved for human use. The FDA has actually categorized them as bulk substances with significant safety risks, which effectively banned pharmacies from compounding them. On top of that, the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, classifies them as Category S2 prohibited substances. So if a professional athlete gets caught using these for recovery, they are facing major doping sanctions. Ultimately, the big issue here is the massive research gap. All this direct-to-consumer marketing on social media, it is moving way, way faster than the actual human clinical trials. We are completely missing the critical long-term data. We don't know the cardiovascular risks, the potential cancer risks, or what the sustained metabolic impacts are if you manipulate your cellular signals for years at a time. The literature out there is mostly based on animal models or really short-term studies, and frankly, that demands a huge level of caution. So what does this all mean? Is taking these unapproved peptides a leap into cutting-edge science, or is it just a really dangerous leap of faith? The potential of regenerative medicine is definitely thrilling, but the risks of doing it unregulated are very, very real. I'd love to know what you guys think, so definitely sound off in the comments below. And hey, remember, if you want a complete structured breakdown so you can actually navigate all of this safely, you've absolutely got to grab my complete guide to peptides. It's just $19.90, and the link is right down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this explainer and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.